A very good morning and warm welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching Smart 24 TV. This is Financial Markets, and it's a Friday. As we wind down the week, we get to break down for you, of course, all the big stories in the week, and we get to, of course, look at the markets as they close the week and look ahead to the next week, what we should be expecting. My name is Anthony. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Anthony Sabale, and you can follow Smart24 TV at Smart24 TV now. Now, the show is probably brought to you by Altex East Africa, your number one private stock exchange and a trader on treasury bonds within East Africa. Now, Altex is saying under Zabu, my money, my future, you can do something new. With Altex East Africa, you can buy bonds now using your mobile wallet. 9 and follow the bonds. You will not only be able to access the market, but you will be able to learn about products. If you are a trader, you will be able to get to watch other traders do their thing online, and of course be able to access the market using mobile money. Now the market opens at 8:15 a.m. East African Standard Time and closes at 15 past 3 p.m. Africa doing something. Let's go into the business of the stock exchange first and foremost, starting off with what seemed to be a very mixed day of trade on the Uganda Securities Exchange. We had a total of close to 39,677 shares that traded yesterday. Now, Thursday ended with at least also 2.1 million Ugandan shillings of turnover that was transacted, quite smaller than we've had previously in the week. However, the market capitalization of the exchange was maintained at over 17.3 trillion Ugandan shillings. The day ended with 3 participants in trade, and the day ended as well with 2 winners and 7 losers on the market. The two big gainers were the East African Limited stock as well as Bank of Baroda Uganda. Now, Bank of Baroda Uganda at least appreciated by 5.93%, up to almost 15.89 Ugandan shillings, whereas the East African Breweries Limited stock at least added 1.28%, up to over close to 4,030.18 Ugandan shillings. And that's exactly what we had as movement within the Uganda Stock Exchange. Remember, Bank of Baroda Uganda is still, of course, shares that were issued, over 12.5 billion shares that were issued earlier on this month, on the 10th of June. Well, it's coming to the end of the month. It's the last day of the month, and we'll be kicking off a new month. Also, today marks the end of the second quarter, and also it marks the end of financial year 2023. So we are going into a new financial year. This, of course, means a lot for you and me as investors within financial markets. Now, with Bank of Baroda Uganda, this means even more, because at this point in time, the bank still looks for over 125 billion Ugandan shillings, of course, to the mark of the 150 billion new minimum capital requirements for commercial banks in Uganda, as per the guidelines of Bank of Uganda. Currently, Uganda has 39.7 billion worth of stock on the exchange, with a market capitalization of 3.97 billion, 9.7 billion. We have the stock at 15.89 Ugandan shillings. That is after yesterday's rise of 0.89 Ugandan shillings. When you look at the trading volumes on Thursday, we had 30,000 shares traded at 476,700 Ugandan shillings and over on the market. Current market performances as well from the Bank of Baroda stock show a 1 week improvement of 5.93% overall in terms of price movements. Of course, 4 week performances are still declines of 78.8%, quarterly performances of losses of 81.3%. That is Bank of Baroda, Uganda. Bank of Baroda East Africa added 1.28% to their stock price and closed off the day at 4,030.18 Ugandan shillings as well. That is, of course, coming in from the top two gainers. On the losing side, we have a number of stocks, including one domestic listing, that is MTN Uganda, but the rest of them were cross-listed. And this is inclusive of a Nation Media Group, which lost 1.59%, closing off the day at 497.23 Ugandan shillings. As well, we did have the at 0.72% depreciation, closing off the day at 766.78 Ugandan shillings. None of these participated in trade. Investments added 0.4, rather declined by 0.48%, and was 235.01 Ugandan shillings. In Uganda was the only cross listing that lost value after losing 0.22% of its value there at 169.62 Ugandan shillings. MTN Uganda was amongst the top traders after trading at least 9,474 shares. Currently, MTN still enjoys, however, the first position in terms of the most valuable stocks via market capitalization. In the current data we're having on the exchange, the company has over close to 3.8 trillion Ugandan shillings worth of stock, representing at least 21.9% of the 17 trillion market capitalization on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, MTN, currently, when you look at the price, they are trading at 169.62 Ugandan shillings. That was their closing price, and definitely the opening price today on this Friday, last day of the financial year and the last day of the second quarter of 2023. We look at the traded volume in this particular day. We had 9,474 your shares, and then have at least 1.61 million Ugandan shillings that was transacted. MTN Uganda currently enjoys the second position in as far as the traded volumes are concerned in the past 3 months. Within this period, MTN Uganda has recorded at least close to 43.3 million shares at over 7.34 billion Ugandan shillings. Quite interesting performance from MTN Uganda. Besides MTN Uganda, we still had a couple of other losers, including Jubilee Holdings Limited, an insurance company cross-listed from Nairobi. Now, Jubilee Holdings Limited stock closed off yesterday at 4,710 Ugandan shillings after a 0.04% depreciation. And Equity Bank Limited as well dropped off close to 0.04%, at least 981.38 Ugandan shillings per share. Overall, we had participants, like earlier mentioned. We had Bank of Baroda, Uganda, trade the biggest volume, 30,000 shares, and MTN close to about 9,000. Umeme trade just 203. We maintained their price at 440 Ugandan shillings. Things seem to have leveled off for MTN Uganda, rather for Umeme currently. And we look at yesterday's closing price, 440 Ugandan shillings after trading 203 shares. At least total value of 89,320 Ugandan shillings transacted on the exchange on behalf of Women's Stock. Now, stock currently has at least a 715 billion market capitalization, representing close to 4.13% of the entire market, equity market on the Uganda Securities Exchange. MTN continues to be very steady in as far as trade is concerned, and volumes last one quarter, exactly over 37.2 million shares have been traded at 15 billion Ugandan shillings, and this currently means that it is the stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. That is MTN Uganda for you there. When you look at other market indicators, the market indices, including the benchmark index, the all share index, is up by 1.41 points, consequent of the good performance of the Bank of Baroda, as well as the East African Brewers Limited stock. In overall performances, well, the all-share index still has quite some value lost, over 14%, over 60% actually, is what it has been lost in the year-to-date performance since the year began on the all-share index. This average has been mainly influenced by rising price, especially from cross listings due to the foreign exchange disparities between Ugandan currency, the Ugandan shilling, and the Kenyan currency, that is the Kenyan shilling. The Uganda Securities Exchange Local Company Index has at least increased by 0.07% as well after yesterday's trade, of course, Baroda's performance. Now, local company index, which tracks the total 10 stocks locally listed on the exchange, is making a 1 week gain of 1.51% and 4 weeks of at least 0.8%, whereas a year-to-date loss of 0.49% has been registered on that particular index. Let's move on to Nairobi Securities Exchange and have a look at the exchange here in the business hub of East Africa. Nairobi Securities Exchange has over 66 listings currently, and 49 of these participated in trade yesterday. They ended, fortunately, with 15 gainers and over 20 losers on the market. Williamson T. Kenya at least led the gainers with an 11.9% appreciation in price after closing off the day at 232 Kenyan shillings per share. Now, what is Williamson T. Kenya? Williamson T. Kenya is amongst a couple of other Kenyan companies that are engaged in the cultivation, manufacture, and of course distribution of tea within Kenya. The company currently operates Chang'o Tea Farm, situated in the area of the Great Rift Valley, and then of course Kapchora Tea Farm, located in Nandi Hills, and Karimosi Tea Farm, which is located in the northern part of Kenya, and that is in the Tinderet Farm. The company currently is engaged in the business of cultivation, and manufacture of tea leaves. But look at their market capitalization. Currently, they have over 4.08 billion Kenyan shillings worth of stock on Nairobi Securities Exchange, making them at least the 28th most valuable company on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Their gross turnover yesterday was over 1.82 million Kenyan shillings after having traded 8,100 shares on their second last weekday of trading. Their weekly performances has gone up to 14.1% appreciation in price. And when you look at their monthly performance, they're currently the 5th best performers in terms of month performance at a 45.5% appreciation in price. Look at also their but that was the year-to-date performance, and when you look at their month performance, at least 26% improvement, which is quite highly and probably making this company very, very attractive. Williamson T. Kenya is the 46th most traded on stock, however, on the exchange. Within the last one quarter, at least close to 79,100 shares have been traded in 140 deals on Williamson T Kenya. Besides Williamson, we did have a Captura Tea Company, at least at 10.9% appreciation, whereas the Liberty Kenya Holdings are at 9.46%, and the Standard Group house there in Kenya, majoring in publishing a newspaper called The Standard, at least appreciated 7.76%. On the losing side, however, we had Umeme. Umeme continues to lose on the Kenyan market. After yesterday's trade, they lost 9.9, almost approximately 10% of value on Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now, unlike in Uganda, where the stock has maintained a performance of at least 440 Ugandan shillings in the last 1 month, in Nairobi, things have changed slightly. Nairobi Securities Exchange has at least over 23.6 billion Kenyan shillings worth of women stock at 1.41% representation of Nairobi Securities Exchange equity market. Now, yesterday, lost 1.60 Kenyan shillings and dropped down to 14.55 Ugandan shillings per share after yesterday's trade of over 1,600 shares in 7 deals, accruing a total of at least 23,295 shillings. Currently, we have 1.6 billion shares of women listed on the exchange. And when you look at the monthly performance of the stock, it's still at a positive rate of at least a 2.8% appreciation. And the 1 week performance, however, is on the flip side after losing at least 50.2% value there in a particular period. Now, women, however, when you look at the year-to-date performance, their year-to-date performance has been very high at 96.1% appreciation, which is the highest so far on NSE, ranking it the first on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. Well, it's also currently the 24th most traded on stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Comparing that to Uganda, Umeme comes in the second place. Well, Umeme is in the 24th place out of 66 stocks on Nairobi Securities Exchange. That is Umeme's trade for you there. Now, besides Umeme, we had Paints Kenya drop of 9.8%, and the Trans stock lost 9.33%. The Nairobi Securities Exchange recorded the highest volume at over 2.6 million shares traded. Safaricom just recorded 300,000 shares, whereas Ken Group at least had about 206,000, whereas Longhorn Publishers had 202,000. Regarding the performance of the benchmark indices, the all-share index at least dropped off 0.02 points down to at least 107.17 points, whereas now currently the NSE 25 and the NSE 20 are at gains of 0.35 and 0.1% respectively. Let's look at Africa as we markets here for the Thursday trade and prepare for, of course, the new financial year coming next Monday. Now, overall, the stock exchange in Zimbabwe at least dropped off 1,000 points on their benchmark index here, and Nigeria Stock Exchange, on the other hand, had at least an appreciation of 770.10 points, whereas the Nairobi Securities Exchange, like I mentioned earlier, paid off 0.02 points. Now, Johannesburg, on the other hand, 61.4 points, a very much better performance from Johannesburg. And then when you look at Ghana Stock Exchange, they lost at least 2.72 points on their exchange. Allow me to cross over to the United States. Has become more promising after new data was released. Now, stocks climbed on Thursday after fresh data underscored the resilience of the United States economy in the face of course, the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, a monitor of the top 30 stocks in the United States, at least rose around 0.7%, getting some uplift from gains, especially for JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs after successful Federal Reserve stress tests. Now, the S&P 500 was up as well by about 0.3%, and Nasdaq Composite at least cut to gains of less than 0.1%. Sharp upward revision to second quarter of the GDP performance and a fall in the jobless claims in that day echoed raises reflecting strengthening economy in the United States as providing for the Federal Reserve's rates hikes. The Federal Reserve Bank in the United States has been hiking their rates since last year, and now currently they have not yet shown any signs that they will be retreating. And because of this data, it seems people are going to be much more comfortable with the rate hikes at the Federal Reserve Bank. That despite these Federal Reserve rate hikes, the economy is doing quite well as per GDP ratios here, according to reports from the Federal Reserve Bank. That's it, my friend. Thank you so much once again for tuning in and for watching Smart 24 TV. Remember, follow us on Twitter at Smart 24 TV now, and also to follow me personally at Anthony Sebai. And of course, next week we'll be getting into a new financial year. Hope to see you then. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.